for ladies, you need to be able to know when a guy really loves you. Love is not a feeling. Hi, my name is Niyi Odunsi, and this is the Good News Channel TV, where we always give you good news. Now, earlier on, I was speaking to you about divorce. I was talking to you about God's mind on divorce. I was speaking to you about what Jesus said and what Paul said, and the fact that there is no controversy whatsoever. I ended by saying, if you're a child of God, you're not supposed to be involved in divorce, because you're supposed to forgive no matter what your spouse does to you. But I also issued a note of warning. I said the fact that your spouse is supposed to forgive you should not be license for you to go out and start committing adultery. That is something that God does not condone. In fact, when you look at Hebrews 13 and verse 4, it says, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God shall judge. God does not toy with adultery. It's a very serious thing. Now, but I must say these things also to put everything in the right perspective. When adultery is committed, it is not always the fault of just one party. Now I'm speaking to Christians and those who have taken Jesus as the Lord of their lives. When a child of God commits adultery, there must be reasons for this adultery. It's not just their fault. Most of the time, adultery is a red flag. It is to show that there's something very wrong with the marriage. Now, the attitude of the person who, let's say, has been hurt is not to say it's over, get out of my life, I can't tolerate it. The attitude should be, okay, I'm hurt, but let's find out, why did this happen? Now, the person should call the partner, and hopefully if the partner is repentant, they can sit down and discuss these things. How did it happen? Why did it happen? Most of the time, you'll find out that there were warning signs, but the offended party either did not notice or decided to take things for granted. Now, I'm assuming that the child of God, if it's a child of God involved, when they do commit adultery, they don't feel good about it. They realize that they've done something wrong. You see, because most of the time people are deceived before these things happen. It's not that a child of God wakes up and says, today I'm going to commit adultery. No, it's a process. It starts. And just as the enemy lures people, they find that they are lured into these things, and before they know it, it has happened. And immediately it happens, most of the time it's as if a veil is removed from their eyes, and they wonder, how did this happen? How could this have happened? Even if they think they don't like their spouse anymore, they still don't feel good, because you see, adultery it's not just a sin against your spouse, it's a sin against God. You're married to God because you are His bride. You are a member of the body of Christ. And 1 Corinthians 6 also says to us, you can't join a member of Christ to a harlot. That's what happens when adultery is committed. A member of Christ attempts to join himself or herself to a harlot. That's what happens in adultery. So there's no way a child of God is going to be comfortable in adultery. So when they're repentant, it's easy to sit down and say, how did it happen? Now, I often advise the couple to go for counseling. You must find a God-fearing counselor who knows about marriage and talk to him about what has happened. Now, many times it's very difficult for the offended partner to forget, to just forget like that and say, okay, now we can move on. No. It's a betrayal of trust. And trust takes time to build. This is why one should be very careful, because most of the time when adultery happens, that's the end of a marriage. It's the end of, because the offended partner can no longer put their trust in this person that committed adultery. So this is what you have to be careful of. Don't even go there. But if it has happened, then don't say it's over. This is the time to pray prayerfully. Go to a counselor who will guide you through the process of healing and building your marriage all over again. That's the best advice I can give you. Don't try to handle it by yourself. Many people were asked at the site, a poll was taken of married people. Which would they prefer, for their spouse to die or their spouse to commit adultery? You wouldn't believe that more than 75% of the married couples said they would prefer their spouse to die than to commit adultery. That shows you how serious this is. So don't even go there. Open your eyes wide. Know that if you have feelings for anybody outside of your marriage, it's the enemy trying to lure you into destruction. Don't fall for it. Be prayerful and stand for what you believe. Make up with your husband or your wife rather than going outside to destroy your marriage.